вами Sasha Rock'n'Roll, вы смотрите Rock'n'Roll TV, и сегодня будем общаться с C.Jay Ramone'ом. Hi C.J.
How's it going?
Good to see you here.
Thank you.
Have you ever think that you will play in Russia, Moscow, and can you name the most strangest place where you play?
I always wanted to come to play in Russia. It's always been on my mind. I always tried to talk Johnny and Joey into going, but we just never made it. No. Is that what everybody thinks?
Yes,
really?
Yes, really.
That's it's written as a joke. It's not meant to be taken serious. Mm-hmm. Just like in Today You Love Tomorrow. Right. But also Joey is singing "I'm a Nazi, Shotzi, yes I am." But Joey was a Jew. Mm-hmm. It's a joke. The Ramones didn't hate communists. You know what I mean? It kind of was a joke, you know. I always wanted to come here. I always wanted to come. It's because of the history between the States and Russia, it's always been like kind of like, I wonder what it's really like there, you know. So I always wanted to come. I'm glad I finally made it. I wish it would have been with Johnny and Joey, but I'm glad I'm finally here. It's we only got in today. We flew in this afternoon, so I haven't really got to see anything yet. But before I leave, I'm gonna go and do a little bit of looking around and whatnot.
On the Red Square.
Yeah.
With a vodka.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, C.J, can you tell us about the first bands and first records that you heard?
First bands and first records that I heard. The first band I ever really liked and collected all their records was Black Sabbath. That's like the band that they're the band that really brought me into music, like really brought me into music. When I was a kid, my dad listened to everything from early country music to all the classic rock from the 60s. But Black Sabbath is kind of the first band I found on my own and really liked and got into. And I was basically a metal guy for most of my youth. I listened to like Blue Cheer. I listened to a lot of the earlier stuff, and then I listened to the new wave of British metal. I got into Iron Maiden real big, and Judas Priest and the Scorpions and all that type of stuff. But I heard the Ramones when I was real young. I was probably 12 years old, and that's how I got hooked on punk. Where I came from, there were no punks really. There was one or two other guys in my whole town that liked punk rock, but I just liked it from the get-go. I liked the whole "fuck you" attitude and anarchy and all that stuff. I really liked it a lot, and to me, punk and metal were kind of like two sides of the same coin. It was about raging and being,
rebellion and frustration.
Yeah, that's really, it was kind of like they kind of fit together to me. To most of the guys I hung out with, it didn't. But I think the Ramones are one of those bands where they had guys that were into metal that were fans and punks that were into them too. So that kind of is a that's why they were so important for me. It was like, oh, cool,
Do you remember the first time when you saw Johnny and Dee Dee live?
In real life?
Yeah.
First concert. First time I saw them was probably 1980, maybe 1980. It'd probably be 1980. I saw them. I think it was 80. I saw them in Manhattan. In New York City.
And you was 15?
Yeah. 80? No, in 1980 I'm 15, yeah. So that's probably the first time I saw them. I wasn't really old enough to go to clubs and stuff, but in New York City back then it was not a problem to go wherever you wanted to go. It was still a pretty cool town.
And if you talk about Ramon shows, what can you name the best shows that you have ever seen?
Best concerts?
Yeah.
Iron Maiden and Judas Priest, the Priest and the Beast tour. That was probably tops. It's probably my favorite concert of all time. I saw the Black and Blue tour, Black Sabbath and Blue Oyster Cult. That was another big one. That was Black Sabbath with Ronnie James Dio. I think it was the Heaven and Hell album. Maybe it was Mob Rules. I think it was Heaven and Hell. And then, you know, over the years, of course, there were, you know, people always ask about Ramone shows. You know, what was your favorite Ramone show? Every show was the same. You know, they played the same all the time. They were just great every concert. You know, anytime I saw them was a great show.
What was the most fun in touring with the Ramones?
Most fun touring with the Ramones? The girls. The girls was the most fun, absolutely. I could say that without hesitation. That was the best part of it.
Like in every band.
Yeah. But it was, you know, you have to remember too, I went from being in, I was in military jail, and then 5 weeks later doing my first show with the Ramones. So my life changed very big in a very short period of time. And the girls were absolutely the best part of it. The girls and the partying.
Okay, C.J., can you tell me about the relationship with Joey, Johnny and Dee Dee in the last years of their lives?
Me and Joey, Joey was always more like my friend. Me and Joey went to shows together, and we hung out together. You know, we wrote songs together. We did a lot of stuff. You know, just like what you would think of doing with a friend. Johnny was more like a father figure, you know, or a mentor or a teacher. Excuse me. He was, you know, he was my boss in the band. He was the guy that told me what to do, where to go, what time to be there, and all that stuff. So, and you know, and it's not that I liked Joey more than I liked Johnny, or that my relationship with Johnny is more important than one with Joey, or vice versa. You know, the fact is that, you know, I really, you know, I really loved and respected the both of them the same. Dee Dee, Dee Dee was always my, you know, my idol in the band. So it was, I was lucky to get to play with Dee Dee for a little while in the Remains, and I really, you know, I really had like a really good connection with Dee Dee, you know. The last time I saw him, he was playing in New York, and he said to me after the show, Dee Dee was very crazy. Sometimes he would be the good Dee Dee, sometimes he would be the bad Dee Dee.
He was a hard guy.
Yeah. So the last time I saw him in New York City, he had just finished a show, and I said, "You sounded great, Dee Dee, as usual, really great." And he was like, "You know, C.J., I really like you. You're a really good guy. You're always nice to me, and blah, 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 and you always treat me with respect." And that's something that, you know, that was something that Dee Dee never got, that he really deserved, you know, was respect. Everybody's like, "Oh, crazy Dee Dee. Oh, you know, the Ramones songs are so funny." But realistically, I mean, the guy's like a real serious, you know, genius rock and roll songwriter, you know. Did it for, you know, for the entire Ramones career. Even after he left the band, he still wrote the best songs on the records, you know. So that's, you know, that's what my relationship with Dee Dee was like, you know. One day I'd see him and he'd be like, "I should punch you in your face," you know, like, and the next day he would be like, "Hey, C.J., you know, really cool." So he was crazy, but he was unbelievably talented.
You said that Dee Dee was a great songwriter.
Yeah.
Can you name some other your favorite songwriters?
Favorite songwriters. You know, I like, now I listen to like a lot of, I listen to like a lot of early country stuff. Like I like Johnny Cash is one of my favorite songwriters. Say Hank Williams, yep. Even guys like now, like Tom Waits. Tom Waits is a great songwriter, you know. I went backwards, you know what, once I realized there was no new music that I really liked, you know, I started going backwards kind of, listening to early stuff and going back to what I listened to when I was really young. And it's, you know, there's so much great stuff, you know. There's, I mean, the music now, I think there's just no way for me to relate to it, you know, because the younger people, they have different experiences than I had, you know. So I think that's why everyone goes back to listening to what they listen to when they're in their teenage years, you know. Your teenage years, when you're in your formative stages, the music you hear then impacts the rest of your life. You know what I mean? You never like any bands as much as you do the ones that you heard when you were like young, you know? And that, I guess that's why I kind of went back to that, you know?
Can you say some words about your collaboration with Johnny Tubex and Dave?
Well, usually Steve Soto and Dan Root from the Adolescents are out with me, but they just did a big European tour in the summertime. And so when this came up, Dave had actually already been playing with me and Steve and Dan. So when this came up, I said to Dave, "You think Johnny would be interested?" He said, "Yeah, sure." So I met up with Johnny and we talked about it, and he said, "Yeah, I'd love to do it." So we, you know, we got together. We only had 1 day of rehearsal, and we jumped out on the road. And they both love it. You know, they're both Ramones fans, and they treat it with, you know, respect. So.
And do you like?
Oh yeah,
relationship with Mike?
Yeah. Me and Mike toured together when the Ramones and Social Distortion went out. I forget what year that was. 92. 95 maybe? Something like that. I'm so bad with dates. I spent most of the time on the road just... People like, "Do you remember that time in LA when somebody ran up on stage?" I have no recollection at all.
Yesterday.
I don't.
You're from 1995.
So, yeah, but me and Mike went out on that tour together, and I got along great with him. I always was a Social Distortion fan. He's a great song. He's another great songwriter. You know, a guy who's been around for a while. So. You know, it all came together nice. Dave and Johnny fit right in, and you know, it's good it's nice that that they are Ramones fans, because that's what I'm trying to do. I'm really trying to like treat the Ramones memory and legacy with respect by not coming out with a pickup band, you know, a local Ramones cover band or something. You know, I really didn't want to do that. I wanted to go out with, you know, band professionals that, you know, that really, you know, people will be like, "Wow, that's cool," you know.
Thank you for it, C.J. Have a nice show today.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much.
Okay.